What's up, y'all? The line is so long. The line so long. I'm waiting in line to give me some chicken. And the line is real long. I think because it's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody out there. Thanksgiving Eve. Merry happy Thanksgiving to you all out there. This is another edition of Super Facts with your boy Lupe the Dunsteron Fiasco Nostrinis Excelsior the Third. Oh, that's my name this evening, anyways. Just got back from Hong Kong. Shout out to all my peoples out there in HK. Studio SV, Beaten Path, coming soon. The new business. Hey, hi, Bonnie. Yeah, so I just came back from Hong Kong. Started a new company out there. Went to go see the offices. It's amazing. Dream come true. And now it's Thanksgiving. Thankful for Thanksgiving. And just so be clear on Thanksgiving, man. I know some of y'all don't like Thanksgiving. That's cool. But it's a super fact. I mean, at least you can appreciate the thought of some happy Native Americans or some Native tribesmen and women's, or however you want to refer to them, indigenous folks, having the goodwill to share some of their food with somebody else, even if that shit didn't happen. But just the idea of it, because super fact, I mean, all of the Native American tribes, I mean, they wasn't nice. I mean, they was scalping motherfuckers and killing folk. Hold up, it's my turn. I'm finna order this chicken. Hold up, y'all. Order me some chicken. Hello.
Welcome back to Rally Pop. How can I help you?
Yes, can I get a number 7, please?
The number 7? Mild or spicy?
Mild.
Give me 1 moment,
Yeah.
huh? Mild, what's the dipping sauce?
Barbecue, please.
What's to be your side and drink?
Can I get a coleslaw and a bottle of water, please?
Anything else?
Yes, I would like to get I would like to try the smokehouse boneless wings, please.
With a drink or without?
With a drink. Lemonade, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. What's to be your side item?
Can I get mashed potatoes but no gravy? And can I get a extra side of regular side of coleslaw, please?
Would that be all for you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, coming to 1709. Please go forward.
Thank you. Yo, getting that Popeyes in my life. Yo, so as I was saying, man, for y'all to have trouble trying to figure out a way to rationalize your celebration or other folks' celebration of Thanksgiving, I would say maybe just think about it as this particular group of Indians, Native Americans, indigenous folks, people of the earth, they out of the kindness of their heart, they shared some of their wealth with some of these pilgrim peoples. Whether that happened or not, I mean, the idea is cool. That's fine. Hang out with your people. Share some stuff. Be in the spirit of Thanksgiving. Giving thanks. Nothing wrong with that, man. You ain't got to get into the whole socio-political situation. You can. But at the same time, too, just on the super fact side, it was some Native Americans out there that was just butchering motherfuckers. God damn. Ugh. Right? You was the turkey. And that brings me to my super fact for today, man. Or this evening. Hold on. Let me get my cash money dollars. A little wallet chill. This super fat gonna be real messy. There we go. Bringing my super fat for today. So I was on Twitter earlier, and I was kind of just chilling. I ain't really had nothing to do. I mean, it's Thanksgiving, day off. I did all my work yesterday in Hong Kong, and got a few days off before I go back to work around this weekend. And just chill around on Twitter. Somebody brought up Haiti. Somebody said something about Haiti, and was, talking about how, I don't know what the story is, but I can extrapolate that Haiti is finna reintroduce its military, and Trump is gonna deport some 60,000 people, something like that. And somebody jumped, like, Haiti's been beat down for, blah blah blah, for all these years and generations, which is valid, which is true. But it's not as clean as that, because the history of Haiti is a very complex and dynamic thing. And one thing that I've learned in studying Haiti and studying slavery, for y'all that don't know, Haiti was a Spanish as well as a French, even at the same time, colonial slavery plantation, specifically with sugar. Which went on to become one of the only places that led a successful independence movement to abolish slavery, under some generals and some military folks like that. But it wasn't as clean as that. I mean, it was like anything. Hold on, I'm finna get my chicken. Hold up, God, I get the chicken.
Hi.
Hello.
It's going to be a wait on the smokehouse. Did you want some attendance?
How long?
About 7 or 8 minutes.
Yes, that's fine.
That's fine?
Yeah, that's fine.
He's going to wait the 8 minutes.
Yeah.
It's going to be 17:09.
Can I get extra barbecue sauce, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Here's your security. Here you are.
Yeah, I see it.
People tell you play the Lupe Fiasco.
No, they never told me that ever in my whole life, because that's not me.
All right, I'll be right back with you. Okay?
Can I just pull right here, or you want me to stay right here?
You can stay right here.
Oh, okay, swag. Okay, cool. Yeah. So, I just brought up, another piece, which I like to do sometimes, is put in a little bit of a caveat to everything, or add to the story where I feel like that I have a certain level of knowledge in. And I brought up, an interesting part of the Haitian experience, specifically regarding the revolution and the abolition of slavery, is that when the revolutionaries, once the French were kicked out, and they weren't kicked totally out from my understanding, but once it happened, they went back and they destroyed all of the anything that reminded them of slavery. So all the plantations, equipment, the people. I mean, they were still killing people, whacking Frenchmen, women and babies, if I'm not mistaken. But they destroyed everything. Anything that had to do with slavery, they destroyed it, simply because it was a reminder of such a horrible institution. But in that, at the same time, too, they destroyed the only source of income that Haiti had, which was sugar plantations, slavery. Haiti on its own as an island, it used to have timber and like wood and like some other stuff. But in terms when it turned into a plantation kind of society, all that was stripped away, and it was just stripped into a monoculture, just to produce sugar. Sugar was only valuable in Europe. So it's like once you cut that connection off, it was over with. I mean, you basically kind of crippled yourself. But the reason that they did it, and I bring this up in conversation with different people because it's such an interesting choice. To be like, man, I hate this thing so much, but it's the thing that brings me, prosperity and wealth. How much is that worth my humanity, etc. So the Haitian decision was to just destroy all that shit. And in that same time, they had all this other kind of stuff that was happening, internal struggles with the generals and the leaders of the revolution and setting up that government, pressures from the Spanish, who was still on the island on the Dominican side, pressures from the French themselves and Napoleon and all these different folks. So it wasn't just a clean thing, but that was one of the things that happened. And it's one of the things I like to bring up when we talk about Haiti and where it is today. Now, in between then and there, you've had all this, you had Papa Doc and all these crazy ass folks. Corruption is crazy. Even up into this day, there's still a social gap between wealthy Haitians and upwardly mobile Haitians in the upper classes and the lower classes. Then you add in things like the religious aspect of it, the poverty aspect of it. It's just positioned in that space, being prone to earthquakes and things of that nature. I mean, it's a pretty dynamic environment, and would be hard for even the best of folks to kind of figure out how to manage. So when you get people who aren't as competent in terms of running in affairs and running businesses and governments, shit might get even a little crazier. So anyway, all that was on Twitter earlier, and I brought up along them same lines, inspired by that conversation. Somebody brought up this thing about white supremacy, and if y'all don't remember, way back, rest in peace, when Dylan Booth had killed all the people in South Carolina at the church, they did like a little expose on him, background search on him, and discovered like all of this kind of white supremacy and, you know, pro Confederacy and all this other crazy stuff. But he was actually anti-American. He was actually against the U.S. as well. You know, stepping on the American flag and wanting to kind of go back to the Confederacy and all this other racist shit. He's getting the death penalty, so that bitch finna die. But I wrote this thing around that time, so this was some years ago. I wrote some thing about that time, which was talking about white regularity, you know, and how white people are regular. Actually, there is no such thing. Brought up this concept of you know, white supremacy being actually a fallacy, as opposed to being like a real, live, tangible thing. And kind of went on this whole treatise. It's actually still on the Instagram, so if you want to go through the Instagram, you can check it out. It's like in 4 parts. It says, forgot the original title, but it's the pictures of Dylan Booth with the word regular kind of stamped on him like the Supreme box logo. That's a pretty interesting read, but it develops this kind of idea that, you know, like, I personally don't, from my experiences in being around the world, I don't believe in white supremacy, right? I don't believe that shit. I do believe in white racism, though. I don't believe in white supremacy, but I believe in white racism. And this was something that kind of started to go crazy on the Twitter, where people just started to come out the woodworks. It's like, how can I believe that? And I just want to be clear about something on Twitter. I'm not going to agree with all y'all. Y'all not going to agree with me. And I'm talking about black people. We not all finna agree. We come from different circumstances, different points of views. We have different filters, different lenses, super facts. We grow up in different environments, under different pressures, different social pressures.
We're gonna have you pull forward.
Yeah, right here.
Yep. You want a drink while you wait?
No, I'm cool. I'm fine, thank you. Oh, what's going on? What's going on? I have to pull forward. Sorry, waiting on my chick. It's a weight on them boneless wangs, man. So to that point, you know, we all come from different places. We got different points of view. That's not a bad thing, though, right? That's not a bad thing. Super facts. That's not a bad thing. We can agree to disagree, or we can just disagree. We ain't gotta agree. We can agree to agree. If you go through the history of black power movements, black identity movements, black struggle movements, all the way back to slavery days, people have disagreed. Slaves have disagreed with what's the best way off the plantation. Slaves disagreed about, should we kill the overseer or not? Should we do this or not? You know, you had the dudes who was on the plantation that was agitators, who was just like, fuck everybody. And you had people who wasn't so much. They was like, you know, we need to just kind of source this thing out because we don't know what we are. We don't have any resources, and they got guns. And they can mobilize and put together a little militia and come find us, which was the case a lot of the times. So, I mean, fast forward all the way up to movements in the 1800s, post-abolition movements. People had different points of view of how stuff should be governed, how stuff should be ran. Should people stay in Christianity? Should they stay out of Christianity? Should they go and practice other more religions? Should they even speak English? Should they do this? Should they do that? I mean, and they had serious debates. And you go all the way up into the most recent, what we all probably can agree on, where you had this gulf of ideas between Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, right? I mean, they didn't agree, kind of at all on certain points. One was like, we need to kill all these people, at least have the show of force that we are able to defend ourselves. You had another dude who was like, don't hit nobody. You know what I'm saying? And dogs and shit sicked on him. And people weren't rocking with that. You know, and I bet if you had Twitter back then, you had two camps. Like, man, he should be punching these people. You know, the people like, no, we need to think about, Mahatma Gandhi and this, that, and the third. But all the way up to today, people disagree. You had the Black Power movements of the 60s and the 70s where these dudes were killing each other. Killing each other. Wouldn't pull a pistol on a white man, but they'd go upside each other's head. On university campuses. Right? Do your research on that one right there. You had these student movements and these Black Power radical movements that was jaying down on other black movements because they felt that they were too weak or too intellectual or too communist or too even the NAACP had because they were looked at as a respectability movement where you need to walk and talk and dress and act like white people, and that's the way you get in. And they were more mulattoes, and people weren't really fucking if you was black. Like, no, you need to look white. And some of the first products, even Madam C.J. Walker, some of her first products, Madam C.J. Walker, the first black woman millionaire, at least in the States, her first products were what? Hair straighteners and skin whitening creams. Super facts. Right? You try and pull that shit now. Right? Somebody, man, I'm not trying to look white. I ain't trying to do that. So listen, you always gonna have factions. We all gonna have tribes. People gonna disagree. Super facts. Always. Also, to the people on Twitter who like to go crazy on Lupe for what he say. I'm not no dumb nigga. I'm not just sitting around. Hold up, here come my chicken. Hold up, segue for the chicken.
Here you are.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and you have a good holiday.
So happy
All
Thanksgiving,
right.
yeah. Ooh, got my chicken. Got my chicken, yeah. She knew who I was too. But I be having to lie. Like, that's not me. I'm Future. So I'm gonna go pull up, place park real quick so I don't crash, because I don't want to be doing this super facts while I'm mobile. I want to kind of just be off to the side, you feel me? So before we continue, I just want to get a little bit somewhere where I can sit and park for about 20 minutes to eat my chicken and run down these super facts to my fans and my peoples out there. And while we on this break, I just want to say we will be December 8th and December 9th. I will be in Colorado, Inglewood, Colorado, at the Gothic Theater, December 8th. Come and rock with me. And December 9th, I will be at the Belly Up in Aspen, Colorado, doing my thing. Me and DJ Double O will be there doing our respective things in those two localities. December 15th, we will be in Berkeley, California, at the what's the name of this place? We'll be in Berkeley, California, at the UC Theater. So make sure you come out for that. Okay, I'm Pop. Now we back to these super facts, right? To my peoples out there, man, I know that you think that I'm not. And I know I might come across, and this is why I want to do super facts, because even my friends tell me, like, man, when you text or you talk or you tweet, you can come across a little rough. It's better to really see you and get all your facial expressions. So that's why I'm kind of here, doing decide to do super facts, so y'all don't think that I'm too crazy. But with that said, man, I'm kind of a smart dude, man. Like, I study a lot of shit. I just don't nitpick through things and just see what I like and then just take it as is and keep it moving. I actually do the research. I go talk to people. I visit these places. I allow myself to see things and talk to people and I'm kind of a nerd and a bookworm and all that, man. So I'm like doing the due diligence on certain subjects that I talk about. Super facts. I'm not just coming out my ass because I feel energized about a certain thing. It's a lot of shit that I don't talk about because I don't know, and I have no problem just explaining, like, I don't know about that, so I don't feel I have the adequate knowledge or intellect or resources to talk about a specific topic, and I will gladly say that, but I will give you my general point of view on how something affects me, or maybe somebody that I know who is an expert in that field. And that's the other piece. A lot of my friends are experts and professors. I mean, like, my friends, not like I know this dude and I follow on Twitter. Like, no, I can call this motherfucker and I'll go sit in on his class, right? And and with the movers and shakers of the world, you feel me? Like, I know these people. And I sit down and I have long talks with them about all manner of things in the world and how it affects, how it doesn't affect, how it's overstated, understated, the whole gambit of kind of things, conceptually, theoretically, the whole shit. Some of it makes it into my music, some of it doesn't, right? Some of my music has the same kind of level of thought put into it, and sometimes it don't. That's up for me to decide on how I feel about a certain subject and if I feel I can carry it all the way through. With all that said, I'm not a dumbass nigga, right? I'm not finna just open up my mouth and talk a bunch of shit. Also, with that said, I know it's not everybody. Majority of the people are like, yeah, we get it. It's a theory. Let's go back and forth. I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm not trying to make you feel dumb. You're not trying to make me feel dumb. But it's a few of y'all out there that do. Y'all radicals and y'all like to talk shit and y'all think everybody's stupid. You think you smarter than everybody else and that your theory is this because you got it from some African bookstore, some fucking where. And because your bookstore is more African than the next nigga bookstore, your shit in that bookstore is more valid. Super facts. And because it's at the Harvard school of whatever, or you got it from the whatever white person's library that shit is tainted and is bullshit. And I'm like, I mean, you can rock with that, and it's not for me to rock to tear you down, right? And I'm not even finna say it's bullshit because I mean we each have access to what we have access to, and when we get the opportunity to have access to other things, it's up to us to either take advantage of it, recognize that it's an opportunity and take it, or just stay in our own comfortable bubble, and that's cool. Everybody gotta die. Everybody gotta die. You gonna be in that coffin by your motherfucking self, and I want you to be in that bitch with a smile on your face. And if the shit that you tell yourself and your crew tell you, if that makes you smile and that's how you want to go out, cool. Less stress, just chilling. I mean, knock your fucking self out. Rock. Cool, right? We're in a society where we can afford for everybody to have their opinion and have their point of view, whether it's real, imaginary, fakes, whatever the fuck. So, to the point, I personally don't believe, professionally, academically, do not believe in white supremacy. I believe it's a fallacy. I believe it's a conceptual fallacy. I believe in white racism. I believe in white institutional racism. I don't believe that there's institutional supremacy. I believe that racist white people will use supremacy as some type of false, faux, not real evidence to power their racism, with the expectation that if they say it enough, or they present it enough, or they present different institutions that they run or fund, or that give them a certain status in society, and you repeatedly come into contact with that. I'm talking about from movies where the whole cast is white, all the way down to fucking McDonald's, which is ran by a white person. All of that keep throwing in your face that eventually certain factors, certain white racist supremacist factions within the white community will use that as a sign of evidence to press upon you or to project upon you their superiority. But it's all bullshit, right? I mean, that's bullshit, like super facts, right? I mean, you can choose to believe that, and you think like, well, you know, what about you know, here's a super fact right here. And I did this because I was prepared. Shout out to my girl, let me not say my girl. Shout out to the amazing individual that is Jill is Black, and to my man Instrumental and Black Creatives when we were doing the Miseducation of Solutions panel a few weeks ago. And I was doing a bunch of study on the panel specifically about prison numbers and disproportionate and 13 and all of these, you know, new Jim Crow and all this other old stuff. And I always wondered, I was like, man, let's just get to brass tacks. Is there more black people in jail than white people? Right? As a sign of supremacy. Like, is that like a metric that exists to be like, yeah, there's this? No, it's more white people in jail than it is black people. There's more white people in jail than there is black people. According to the figures that I looked at a bunch of that shit. Super facts. What it was the word disproportionate. And this is what fucks us up. Disproportionate. Is there there's more white people in America than there are black people. Period. Super facts. That's why they call us a minority, because there's more of them than it is of us. They're in the majority. So they're going to be represented more. Right? Simply because there's more of them. It's a game. Is it fair? I mean, I don't fucking know if it's fair or not. In certain instances, maybe it is fair. I don't fucking know. But I do know that there's more of them than it is of us. I know that there's more white people in jail, number for number, than there is black people in jail. It's just that when you start to compare the populations, and this is where we fuck ourselves up. When you start to compare the populations are different. In certain institutions, there's going to be an overrepresentation based on the population of that specific group within that institution. So when you just compare the population of white people and the population of black people, and then you bring in the prison institution as one example, then disproportionately, based on the number of people within each population totally, there's going to be more black people represented based on their populations. But when you take out disproportions and you take out that shit, you take out the population and you just see how many of each race is in each thing, there's going to be more white people than black people. What does that mean? It don't mean shit. That kind of piece don't mean shit, because we get caught up in the disproportion because we believe it's not fair. We want a certain level of equality. Equality is impossible. I don't believe in equality. I believe that the word exists. I believe that you believe it. I believe that people build shit around it. But I think it falls into the same kind of fallacy as supremacy, in that nobody's equal. Nobody's equal. It's impossible. Right? Everybody's going to have unique qualities about equal, quality, equality, quality, equal. Everybody's going to have different qualities and attributes based upon their circumstances, their context, their physical structure. Certain motherfuckers, just because of the way that their face is shaped, are going to look like they just, like everything smell like shit. When you look at it, they might be smiling, but it's still like, ugh, because that's just how his face and bone structure allows him to smile. Right? Everybody's going to have a different point of view, a different aspect. So to expect equality out of just human beings, you set yourself up for failure. Facts. Super duper facts. Right? Do I believe that there's equity, which I think is more important than equality, is equity. How much of something do you own? Right? How much right or say-so do you have on a certain place in a certain time? Either as a consumer, as a producer, as a customer, as a fucking owner, as a manager, or whatever. How much is your relationship in a specific institution? And what is that relationship? And what is the quality of that relationship to those institutions? Right? How much you represented in that don't mean shit. Right? It's your actual relationship to it, not the perceived number of people, because the numbers don't mean shit if the quality of the situation is so fucked up. You can have 1 million motherfuckers in there, but if their situation is terrible, it don't matter. It goes to that, if you, the point behind the supremacy was, which was the super fact, is when you look at, okay, supremacy is based on numbers, how much people are creating. And you say, well, what are they creating? Once you start to dress down what's being created and what's happening, for the most part, it's shit that's useless. Not necessarily useless, but it's not necessary. Right? So you applaud somebody for making unnecessary shit. Right? Like, it may look good and it's nice. You might even be able to sell it for a couple $100. You might be able to do that, but it ain't, you don't need it. So on a certain level, how much of that projection of supremacy, or that equation that you use to calculate the supremacy or the existence of supremacy, is based on your own material shortcomings about the way you look at certain things and value certain things in a material space, in a material aspect. And then you project value, you think the value of that product, just simply because it exists or is there, you say that it has a value, and then that value somehow gets related or attached to this particular group of people away from you. Right? I mean, at a certain point, everybody, and that's the thing, everybody's not going to agree with that. Super facts. Everybody's not going to agree with that. And that's fine. My point of view, my lens, and my filter, and the way I work within certain aspects and have been presented and have walked through and lived through certain lifestyles, to come out at the end of it, to have the recognition from myself that was some bullshit. That rapper lifestyle, get a Rolex, get a Ferrari, that shit was bullshit. Right? You come out the other side of it and you get recognition. You get confirmation that your recognition of the bullshit was right by the people who make the shit. Right? The people who make it and construct it, you sit there and they're like, yeah, this is bullshit. We know. But if you're willing to buy it, if people are willing to attach value to it, we're stupid for not giving it to you. By recognizing an opportunity to exploit somebody because they believe that there's a perceived value of something. And they're willing to just wreck and ruin or work themselves to death to purchase some shit that they don't even need to prove it to somebody next door who don't even really give a fuck about them. Right? So, I mean, when you think about supremacy, you think about the essence of supremacy, I believe that shit is false. I believe it's a cycle, and I believe everybody knows their place and they fit in that cycle. Do I believe that there's institutional racism and there's white racism? Yes, I believe that shit is alive and well and has been around for thousands of years, and it will continue to be around for thousands of years. Do I believe that there's tribalism? Do I believe that there's all type of other shit which are expressions of some type of black racism? I believe that shit too. We don't fuck with them people. Right? You had respectability movements in the 20s and the 30s and the 40s. That was the essence of the NAACP. That was like their foundational principles. Was you need to walk and talk like this group of people to fit in with these. You need to have respect. You need to be respected by these other folks. And you had people that was in the same community that was like, fuck them people. I don't want to walk and talk and dress and act like them. I don't want to walk and talk and dress and act like me. That's why you had kente cloth and fucking all this other dashikis and shit, because people believed in Pan-Africanism and they wanted to be a black national movement or black unity movement. They didn't want to merge in with white culture and white society. Right? Because they didn't feel it was supreme. You know what I'm talking about? Super facts. So, I believe there's a cycle to life, and everybody fits on that cycle. Right? Some people, if they're open-minded enough and they're able to take advantage of the opportunities, or they make the opportunities for themselves, they're able to traverse more points on the cycle than other folks. Right? Does that make them better than other folks? No. There's certain people who like their place in the cycle. And that's where they sit, and that's where they're going to stay, and that's where they want to be. Right? Even if you give them 100 different opportunities, they don't see the value the way you see the value. Right? They don't see the value in going from a hut to a mansion. Right? Or going from steakums to a filet mignon. They don't see the inherent intrinsic value in that. Eating with their hands versus eating with a fork. They cool. Like, this is my culture. This is what I like to do. It's fine with me. There's other people who want every single point, and they want to run all across the cycle. Right? And is that a good thing or a bad thing? It doesn't fucking matter. It's a thing. And they doing it. And you either respect it or you don't respect it. But it's happening. Right? Does that make them a better person or a less person because of this? Does it make them more supreme? Does it make them more inferior? No. Supremacy is in the mind. Just like everything else is in your mind. But just because it's in your mind doesn't make it real. That's why we don't believe none of these motherfuckers. You don't believe a KKK dude when he walk up and say some shit. You don't fucking believe him. You don't believe that his lifestyle is better. You don't believe that his truck is better. You don't believe that his job is better. You don't believe none of that shit. Right? You don't believe his points of view are better. You don't believe none of that shit. He could be the smartest, super well intellectually driven, Harvard trained, Stanford graduate school attended motherfucker. And as soon as he come out his mouth and say that he better than somebody, you're like, you ain't better than nobody because you got that fucking degree on your wall all day long. Super facts. So if you don't believe that individual person, why would you believe the entirety of the fucking institutional scope that there is this thing out there that is supremacy and that there's people who participate in it? They might be racist, but they're not supreme. They're not better than you. And you're not better than them, which is the kicker. Right? So, you're not going to agree with that. That's fine. I'm just saying it because that's just how I feel. It's just my point of view. I just don't believe in that shit. I believe in racism, and I do my best to combat institutional racism. Right? I believe that there's been head starts. I believe that there's people who, and people without head starts. I believe there's people who are generationally wealthy and will maintain generational wealth for the next 200-300 years of their family line. And I believe there's people who came from nothing in 2001 who had nothing, who turned around, and now they have the potential to have generational wealth. Right? If generational wealth even means something. Because to some people, they don't give a fuck about generational wealth. Right? That's not the end all be all of your existence, is to attain shit. Right? It's not the end all be all to attend a school. You go spend all this fucking money at the school because supposedly you're supposed to get this elite education, you get this elite network, and you get all this shit, blah, blah, blah. Right? And you get out there and you do all this shit, and you say, fuck, I could have did this shit. I could have probably did this shit without this shit. Because I'm not using any of the shit that they taught me in there. Unless you go to like a vocational school or some shit like that, some engineering school, you feel me? But if you're not going to something that's vocational, hands-on, man, you can go to you can go to whatever school you want, learn all the theory and philosophy and motherfucking this, that, and the third. It's going to be on the network of people that's in there. And if you're learning something vocational that you actually go do with your hands. If you're not learning that shit, I don't give no fuck where you go. It don't make you supreme. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be intelligent or smart. Poverty doesn't dictate intellect up to a certain point. Right? It's the pressures of survival and the pressures of the family unit that come along with poverty. But motherfuckers come out the womb geniuses. Ain't got shit to do with what school they go to. They understand the critical framework, the analytical framework to approach a problem and come up with a solution for that problem in a novel or elegant way. Can't no school teach you that shit. School makes some motherfuckers dumber than they are. So these same supreme institutions and these Illuminati groups that these motherfuckers got, and they can control this and they can control that and this, that, and the third. Like, yeah, there's some shit like that exists. Right? But I mean, they still basing it on a network of another motherfucker to do another motherfucker to do another motherfucker that all come back down to if people gonna buy that bullshit that they had nothing to do with making, that they grandfather made. They just picking up the slack, or they inherited the position. But they can make the widget or the app that the company sells if they motherfucking life depended on it. But they supreme. They're white supreme. Man, please. All that to say, right? Super facts. I don't believe in white supremacy. I do believe in white racism. I believe in white institutional racism. I believe that the stories that we are told and the stories that we tell ourselves define our point of view about certain things. You have to be very careful about what you tell yourself and what you allow yourself to tell yourself and what you allow yourself to be told. Because certain narratives weren't meant for this time. They weren't meant for right now. Unless you're ready to go pick up a rifle and start killing all the people that you see that don't look like you, which is what Genghis Khan did, or some of these other motherfuckers who was like, we got to get the society back, or in Haiti with Toussaint, and you just ready to start go like kill everybody that don't look like us. If you're not willing to do that, you need to sit your ass down. And that narrative that is part of that whole process, that narrative is motivated for you to go and do that. If you're not willing to do that, and you not super facts, then you need to think about maybe picking up another narrative. Maybe getting a different point of view about things. Because all that super black woke shit that you talking, it's supposed to end up with a gun in your hand. The Black Panthers was saying all that shit with guns in their hand. They wasn't popping that shit, and they was popping that shit with the Soviet Union behind them, because they aligned themselves with the Communist Party. You ain't aligned with no motherfucking party. You ain't got no foreign power that's able to press if you called to help and send you munitions and motherfucking supplies and apply diplomatic pressure on your behalf to the nation that you reside in, because they think that you're going to set up an outpost for some type of communist revolution within the United States. That shit ain't finna happen. You ain't got them type of connects. So don't speak that shit if you ain't about that life. Facts. You know what I'm talking about? Don't get caught up in just the rhetoric and the books that H.G. Rapp wrote. If you ain't got the pistols or the communist connections and the fucking, and that shit don't even exist no more. The fucking KGB and Khrushchev and these other motherfuckers who was using those movements as Soviet outposts, and you ain't got motherfucking Castro and the rest of these motherfuckers. You better do your due diligence when you start talking your shit, right? You ain't got no drug cartel like FARC to back up your philosophical points of view, because you're gonna move in and overthrow the government, because you can move in 30 guerrillas to come and attack some type of shit. You ain't got that type of shit. Right? So the manuals and the manifestos and all of the points of view and shit that you reading, them shits was connected to armed struggle, armed overthrow, coup d'etats, and military overthrows. Right? So for you to get out on the street and take knees and grow afros and do all that other old goofy shit because you think you down with the struggle, even the folks like Karanga and these dudes and Kwans and all that shit, they had pistols on their hand. They was shooting it out with motherfuckers to get the change that they wanted to see. If you're not built like that, then you don't need to be talking that shit. Some of us out here built like that. Super duper facts. But when a motherfucker tell you to do something like that, or you see a nigga working in the field with a samurai sword, getting weapons training or some shit like that, you think the shit look goofy. Or he look like a lame. Or why is he doing that weird shit? Right? And all you do is post pictures of your shoes or selfies down at the fucking Afro Fest. Right? Go to Africa first. Go to Africa and see what that shit look like, and see if they don't spot you soon as you get off the fucking plane that you're American. But how'd you recognize I was American? I thought I was black. Like, nah, bruh. You American. Right? But go over there, set up shop, see that shit. Go to Liberia and Senegal, and go to South Africa, and go to all these different places around Africa, and see if that unity shit that you thought was like every Bob Marley fantasy song, you thought that shit was real. Go over there and see how that shit is ran, and how them people work, and how them people treat their own people, and the deals that they cut for their families, and institute these dictatorships that run for 90 years, and all their money is in Switzerland. Super facts. What you thought it was. You feel me? You thought it was just chilling, huh? You thought you was just gonna get off the plane, huh? Go over there and they was gonna embrace you, huh? Nah, bruh. They don't fuck with you like that. So, what I would say is, man, take the time to really do a deep dive into your concepts and your thoughts and the things you believe, and really test and see who told you, and listen to your enemies. Learn the history of your enemies. Learn all that shit. Make the statement. Say, I don't believe none of this shit. Then go prove to yourself that you don't believe it. I said I don't believe it, then I went and proved to myself that I didn't believe it. I don't believe shit that come out my own mouth. I don't believe myself until I do it. Period. I ain't got faith in myself, so I definitely ain't got no faith in your tweeting ass. Super facts. So, I'm gonna get up out of here because my chicken getting cold. And I appreciate all y'all for tuning in to another edition of Super Facts. This one about the fallacy of white supremacy. And I didn't mean to push nobody the wrong way or to be too argumentative with everybody, but I do understand that we're gonna have tension and we're going to have some contrast and some variety in our opinions and the stuff that we do as black people. But as long as we are focused on the empowerment and the empire and the nation building of our people and the generational advancement of our folks, then let's do that. And if it means we got to fight to get there and I got to knock your ass out or talk to you crazy on Twitter, but we at least reach some type of consensus on what's truth and what's not truth and what's super facts and what's bullshit, then I mean I'm willing to do that each and every single time. If that means that you're not going to listen to my music no more, you're going to unfollow me, or you're going to retweet me out of context or whatever, then do it. I don't give a fuck. I give a fuck about my people. Right? And I give a fuck about everybody peoples. Whether you white, black, Latinos, Spanish, whatever. Especially Latinos. I love you, SA. I'm not SA, Vato. Because you shouldn't say SA, because SA is actually kind of racist. Or disrespectful. Shout out to Chino XL on correcting me with that shit. Love all peoples, man. And I feel that if our people, and shout to Black Lives Matter, because this was the one thing that I agree with totally, was like, if our people are better, we are of an ilk where everybody is better. And if all white people get better, that means everybody should get better. And if Latino people get better, everybody should get better. Everybody should have the opportunity to get better. And if you're really true, honest folk, and you're really about this human world shit and this human life shit, that means everybody around you, no matter what color they are, what ilk, what walk of life, whether they from the ghetto or they from fucking Harvard, you know, that everybody will benefit from your good vibes and your betterment. You feel me? Alright, cool. Alright, so December 8th, December 9th, we'll be in December 8th, we're in Colorado, Inglewood, Denver, Inglewood, Colorado. If you're in Denver, the show's in Inglewood, Colorado. December 8th, we'll be there. December 9th, we'll be in Aspen, Colorado. December 8th, we'll be at the Gothic Theater in Denver, Inglewood, Colorado. And December 9th, we'll be in Aspen, Colorado at the Belly Up. December 15th, we'll be in the Bay. We'll be in Berkeley at the UC Theater. Come rock with us. Me and my homie Double O. Happy Thanksgiving. Give some thanks and some happiness to your peoples. Yeah. So I'm going to leave this up so people can check it out. Peace and much love to you. Super facts.